Hello everyone and good night. Here Elohim again. Thanks for coming here again. Thanks for your time. I have this moment the amazing opportunity to talk with this wonderful person that is Sandra Mariah Wright, that you can see next to me. I have the opportunity to meet her most than 1 year ago. I think that was in Hexfest Online. She was offering some classes. She was talking about these crystal schools and everything, and she was so fluid in the terminology, in the mythology, in the folklore, in everything about the ritual, that I was just impressed with her. So I started following her. I noted that also she has books with a very big publisher. She's a super kind, wonderful person. Also, she has her own podcast video show on YouTube that is monthly. So we go to talk with her, and every link that you need to contact her, Instagram, Facebook, her books, everything will be in the description of this video. Hello, Sandra, how are you doing?
Hello. Well, it's a wild month here in Salem. October is just really crazy anyway. And this year it is particularly crazy. It's really busy. We have probably the highest number of visitors this month that we've ever had in October. It is really, it's pretty crazy. It feels like every weekend has been Halloween weekend. So it's been wild.
Yes, you are in the center that take more attention during this month. And that's super interesting. I know that you are a witch psychic author, but also in your background, you are the owner of some personal projects. You lead the Spirit Bacon, that I'm not really sure if it's pronounced that way, the Spirit Bacon Psychic Fair and Mystical Marketplace.
Spirit Beacon, yep.
Spirit Beacon, perfect.
Spirit Beacon, yep.
And also, you are the person behind Gallows Hill Witchery. That is a jewelry company, distribution, occultist. So you have a lot of things going there. You can you want to tell me something about it?
Oh, yes. So Spirit Beacon honestly hasn't been operational since the pandemic started, but we have dates booked in March. So this coming March, we're returning. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, I bring together a group of psychics, some of these psychics that I've worked with for over a decade, and also magical vendors and people that I've had contact with, again, in the community, some of them for 10 or 20 years, and just bring everybody together under one roof. And we host it over at Breakaway, which is a beautiful venue over in Danvers that I love playing at with my band. So I'm at Breakaway quite often, actually. The band is back there November 6th. And right now the project that I'm working on with them is Go Your Own Way, which is a tribute to Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. So
and super nice. I just sound super busy. That's great.
I am super busy. And then with Gallows Hill Witchery, mostly I do lives. I also do pop-up vending, like I vend at Spirit Beacon, of course, my event. And then I also go to other places and do pop-ups. I've vended at Hexfest. I've vended downtown here during Festival of the Dead. And oh my goodness, I did not shut my ringer off. That's hilarious. So yeah, so it's great. I love doing pop-ups. I love vending. I love getting out and getting, face to face with people and helping them find their talismans and their crystals. So that's always really gratifying for me. But I do a ton of lives on Facebook as well. And going forward from November on, I'm going to be looking to do at least 2 lives a month, if not more. And some of them I do crystals, some of them I do jewelry, some of them I do both. So it's a lot of fun.
Yes,
I call them my crystal coven, and my crystal coven gets together and we do these, we get together and do these lives, and it's just super fun.
Yes, I remember following you. I see your concerts in live via Facebook. That was wonderful. I see it completely. I remember you talking about crystals every time that you do these show on Facebook, showing every piece that you have in the store. I remember when you do that for online events, and you always know precisely what are you showing off. This is this crystal, this is this mineral. Look, this piece you can use it for this, you can use it for that. It's not something superficial. You go very deep in the information, and you are mentioning that you help. And it's true, I remember that you are doing all of this when COVID happens. And I was refreshing that information when I was reading your new book. You mentioned that during the COVID, you was doing all of these online classes with your coven, trying to bring people together online, doing Zoom and everything else, because it's a way to say to people, it's a disaster around there, so let me take a moment, come here, and we can talk about something else. We can recharge between us, and that's super helpful.
Yes,
I really like that.
Every morning during the lockdown, every morning Leanne and I would do what we call tea time. And we would spend an hour, roughly 40 minutes usually, on with people. We would do a grounding and centering. We would pick a card for the day, like a tarot card, and then an oracle card for like how we should approach, whatever we were going to encounter that day. We would talk about, talk about a stone or a crystal, talk about an herb or an ingredient for a spell, and just have kinship with people, just, speak with people. And it really, honestly, it set the tone for the day. It always put me in a good mood. It just, it really was wonderful to know that every day we were going to like wake up and get together. And it really was an anchor in our day. And it brought us really front and center, brought spirituality super front and center, because it was like we were spending almost an hour each morning. And then of course in the evening we'd be getting ready for the next day. So we'd be like, we'd be gathering information and be like, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? What herb, what stone, this, that, or the other thing. And so it really was like, it was just great bookends to the day. And it really held it together at a time that, we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, we were looking ahead going, wow, this is something we've never seen in our lifetime, this level of quarantine. It was something we had never experienced, and it was a time that people felt really uneasy, and people were looking for comfort and just looking for that connection that we couldn't get. We almost forgot how much of like social creatures we really are,
Exactly.
and getting shut down and locked away from each other, it really kind of showed us, wow, we really are like interlaced, and we really do kind of depend on each other. And it was comforting to get to see people's smiling faces in the morning. Just really, it helped a lot. It helped me, and other people came forward and said, this really held me together. I was falling apart at the time, and it really held me together. And it's like it was an honor and a privilege, and we felt blessed by it. So
yes, and I think that is part of the craft. You have the opportunity to totally shift the situation, totally shift the emotions of the people, and you are doing that. You take your time to sit down and say, okay, I'm tired. I mean, days or weeks or months doing this, but I continue doing it because it's like a responsibility that you know that you can do it. So you take the responsibility in your hands and you try to craft it in the best possible way. You just mentioned your co-host, Leanne. You have together the Psychic Tea. Is this monthly show that is super fun. You always bring very amazing topics, a lot of guests, astrology information. You can give me a little more about that. How started that? Because I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, gosh, we've been doing that for like 3 years or more now. That we've been doing it. It's usually the first Thursday of the month. In some months we've bumped it to the second Thursday just based on scheduling issues and things, but it's usually the first Thursday of every month. And it used to be earlier. Now it's at 12:30. It used to be earlier, but some guests were expressing that it was too early in the morning for them, particularly people out on the West Coast. So we were looking to make it a little bit more accessible for people in other time zones. So we moved it to 12:30 Eastern Standard. So that's when it is now. And I think, we're able to accommodate certain guests. It kind of broadens our ability to reach a certain audience too. So, but you can always watch the playback. It's all stored, because it's a radio show here, but it's obviously video on Facebook. So we tape it, we broadcast it live on Facebook, but it's broadcast live here on the radio. So it's on HD2. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the dial numbers. It's been so long since I've given them out verbally. It's usually just something that I copy and paste. But anyways, yeah. So it's on the radio here, but it's video on Facebook. So, and we have a blast with it. Tim Soaring-Wolf does the astro forecast for us. We try to bring interesting guests on that we feel connected to, people that we've either connected with in Magick, or perhaps we've connected with a book that they've written or something that they're working on. And and we just try to bring information to people. We've got a great group of regular people that pop in, and then people over the years have kind of like tuned in when they can live, and then other people have watched the playbacks and said, oh, I just watched that playback from whenever. And it's funny because, like, if you go back and watch the astro forecast from the previous month, and then you go back to it a month later, and you're like, oh my God, that came true. So it is interesting. But I love talking astrology. I love talking about, because we do the same thing that we do pretty much the same thing that we did with Tea Time, where we do pull cards. We pull cards to see what the month is going to bring. We talk about different herbs or stones all the time. It's always a learning experience, and we're always talking about different types of magic. I was so happy to have you on. We were talking about your manifestation magic, which was excellent.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a fantastic topic.
Yes. This takes me to another topic. With your co-host, Leanne, you also are co-author of 3 books that has been published for 3 years in a row. That's fantastic. And they have very good reviews, because I checked around. You wrote, sorry for my English, Reading the Leaves, that is about the divination rounding this tradition of the tea leaves. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. That book is very famous. Everybody, I think, that has that book in their home.
Thank you.
And now this year you're publishing Lighting the Wick, or Lighting the Wick. I really don't know how to pronounce that. You can correct me.
Yep. Lighting the Wick. Yep.
Got it. It's about candle magic. Has a very beautiful cover. It's with a very big publisher, a very long time one. And this book, I just have read for now. I just have read for now half of the book. I enjoy this part. I will take another spotlight here. Most of the books on magic are usually what is magic. These are the candles. These are the moon phases. These are a bunch of spells from the author. In your books, you always give an introduction on how you find this path, how this enrich your life, different things like that. In this book particularly, you talk, and I noted, because in like 4 pages, you say from the moment that you are starting to take classes and buying stuff in Laurie's Scout store, to how you was doing during 2020 in the middle of COVID, lighting candles every day. So we can see all of this evolution of how she come from being a beginner on magic, a believer, to being the amazing witch psychic author that you are now. You can tell me a little more about this book, because this book is very new. It's in the market now. It's very hot in there. It's like bread in this moment.
Yeah. So again, we're doing. We're always going to have some kind of focus of divination, because we both love divination. So of course, we're going to cover a couple of different types of divination that can be done with candles, and also a lot of the spell work that can be done with candles. some of the first stuff that I did when I first started understanding that there was, a way to work magic and a way to connect with one's will and manifest change. The way that I really started doing that was with stones and also with candles. I mean, that was a really early, part of my development as a witch. And so I felt like, so many people connect with candles at this point. It goes beyond just the boundaries of any one religion or any one culture. Candles, it's something that it just crosses all kinds of boundaries. And I was like, this is a way for people to start feeling, in touch with that part of themselves. I think that we as a society, we are sort of like, we're at a point now where we've got to realize we've got to come back to a place of, nurturing our souls. Everyone's out there trying to, be successful, trying to secure the bag, trying to, make a name or, whatever, but we have to nurture what's inside of us. And I feel like the kind of work that I do with candles, especially when I'm working on someone's behalf, somebody that I care about needs my help, it's one of the most effective ways that I've found to connect and to show them that I'm caring about what's going on with them. When I tell somebody I'm lighting a candle for you, that really shows them that I'm caring about what's happening with them. And I think compassion for others, I think compassion for ourselves, compassion for others, it's really key right now.
Yes, you're mentioning all of this about the story, and it's totally true because I was reading the book. You take the time. I love when an author finds some kind of passion in the book. You mentioned the history of the candles from like 5,000 years ago, from how people in Egypt use the candles, what this is for them, how this tradition evolved with the folklore, how was the use of the candles in America with the witches in Salem. You mentioned all of this in the book. So it's not just a book on spell casting, it's a lot about candles. It's the history, the mythology, the folklore, the lore, the tradition, all of the different aspects. And also how you mentioned how you use not just the light outside, it's also how you manifest your light from inside out. And that's really wonderful in the book. I really like the book. I'm really enjoying it. I recommend it, and for everyone who is watching this or listening this, the link is in the description. Also, I know that you can't, because it's very early, but you can give us so much information about it. But the next book, the links is practically everywhere. So it's like I don't go to go very deep on this, but you have a new book that is Awakening the Crystals.
Yes.
I'm not asking you to go very deep on that, but what you can say about it.
So I think anybody that knows me knows that this is a book that is so near and dear to my heart, because crystals, that really was my first connection, in terms of like connecting with the power that's inherent in the things of the earth. Animals, yes, because I've always loved animals as well. So that was a clue too. But my connection with minerals, my connection, with stones and crystals, that was really a signpost for me that said, this is for you, this spirituality is for you. So I love connecting people with the right crystals for them. I love working with people to find their talismans and their things that they need to, to carry or wear, and that empowers them. Because for me, like all of these books that I'm writing, all of them have something to do with empowerment. All of them have something to do with transformation, which has always been my mission. And so all of them have like that in common. And this is near and dear to me for a number of different reasons, not the least of which is that it talks about crystals, it talks about crystal skulls, which as a skull keeper, it's definitely a topic I'm super interested in. And it's also about how to really make these crystals work for you. I know there are a lot of excellent reference materials out there that are like, hey, this is a crystal, here's what it does. And there's a bit of that in there, of course, but we're talking about like, hey, you've got a lot of these crystals. Maybe a lot of you have purchased a lot of crystals already. Here's how to really work with them. Here's how to really activate them. Here's how to really put them to work for you in your life. We're going to take you through your whole entire house and show you where certain crystals should be, or where they're best, to be located, how to work with them in that space, how to really bring up the vibe in your space, especially since so many of us are spending so much time at home at this point. Especially in lockdown, we were like, yep, here we are in the same four walls, so it really was important for us to sort of say, well, we've got all these things, we've got these wonderful crystals. How are we putting them to use? How are we active with these crystals? Because the more active you are with a crystal, the more you're going to get out of it. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So
I understand you. The book is less about the typical collection of crystals, and it's more about find a real connection deeper with each crystal one by one. I understand.
I feel like that. Good. I feel like we're gonna talk. We talk a lot about the ones you wear and where you wear them on your body and how that makes a difference, and where you place them in your home and how that can help you with goals that you have, goals that you've set for yourself or for your family. Communication, cooperation, harmony, things that you want for yourself. We talk about crystals in your workplace or in your workspace, whether that is a separate workspace or whether it's in your home, which for a lot of us now it is. A lot of us do have home offices. Ooh, we talk a lot about, where these crystals go, and when you take them with you, like what ones you should carry with you, what ones are great to keep on your person when you're traveling, what you should put in your car to help keep your car safe. So we really make it it's very practical knowledge, I guess you could say. It's like, here's how you incorporate this in your daily life.
Got it. Sandra, I have I love do very silly questions. I really love it. So I know that you are in the most busy month of the year. So I will be running on these questions for you, because I know that you are super busy, not like me in this moment. First, you are a high priestess on the tradition of Alexandrian witchcraft. Tell me, how did you find this path? How you find it?
So it kind of found me. I was maybe 18, if I was even 18 years old, maybe 18.
That was like a couple of days ago.
It was just a short while ago. So it's really hasn't been that long at all. But I was about 18 years old, and I was working at, believe it or not, a CVS. And this particular CVS had a raised, like a platform that the cashiers stood on, and I could see right out the window into the parking lot from that platform. And I remember looking out over the parking lot and seeing a man coming across the parking lot, pulled by these two, what looked like big black bears, bounding across the parking lot, and he's got the two leashes in the one hand, and they're pulling him across, and they had these big clanging pentacles on the front of them. And as they grew closer, I saw that they were actually black chow dogs, chow chows. So, but I mean, it really looked like from the distance, it was like two black bears wearing pentacles coming across this parking lot. So I'm looking at this guy going, I have got to meet this guy. Like, this guy, I've got to meet this guy. So when he came in, he happened to get into my line. And so as he came up to cash out, I looked at him and I said, "Blessed be." And he looked at me with this look on his face, and I said, I was so cocky at the time. So I said, "Well, you are, aren't you?" And he was like even more taken aback. And he said, of course. And I said, well, then what are you doing looking at me like that? And he said, well, you know how the old look at the young sometimes? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, that's how I looked at you. And I said, oh, suit yourself. But obviously I had made an impression, because then he came back not that long after, and he asked me if I wanted to work for him with his wife, but his wife was going to have to meet me, and she was going to have to like me, or it wasn't going to happen. And I was like, okay. And he said, you know, I run the largest occult supply company in America, and I want you to come work for me. And you're going to get to talk to witches all over the world. And this was back before people were all connected on the internet. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought to myself, this is incredible. So of course, you know, I went to work for him. And so for the next 4 years, I connected with witches in countries all across the world. I gained an encyclopedic knowledge of the table of correspondences. I learned all the ritual tools and what they were used for. And I was just in my glory. I was just working for this amazing, you know, amazing wholesale company, supplying witch shops all around the world. And we also had a retail catalog. So I was, you know, sending packages out to, you know, solo witches that were like off in these parts of the country where there were no witch shops at all, and no metaphysical shops at all. And I was shipping people their supplies so that they could do magic. And I was just in awe of it all. I was living my best life. And he happened to be Alexandrian. And so my first foray into a very specific tradition of magic, because up to that point I had really just kind of been eclectic. So that was my first experience of traditional witchcraft. And that was due to him, Richard Ravish. So it really kind of fell in my lap. And I've had an appreciation for that ever since. So.
Wow, so magnificent history. Thank you for that. I was here visualizing everything. Thank you. It's a very powerful story about fate and about how all of this align in your way. I mean, this person comes, you see him, after that he was in your line. So it's in the universe, like, take this path. That's wonderful.
The hands of fate, man. I'm telling
Yes.
you. The hands
Yes.
of fate.
Sandra, did you remember which was your first spell or ritual that you did?
Yeah, I actually talk about that. Of course, it had to do with a boy, you know. No surprises there.
We
But
want to
I
know
did.
everything.
I put a mojo bag together at Crowhaven Corner back when Laurie Cabot was running it, when she owned it and was running it. It's still in that location. Actually, it still stands in the same building. And so, yeah, I had my spell components, and I got my spell components together, and, you know, yeah, I've had a lot of luck, actually, over the years. I don't necessarily, I don't find that I rely on, you know, spells for every single thing. I think, you know, there are some times that you really feel like, okay, you know, this is major, and I really want to work on this, you know, especially obviously protection, healing is another really, really big one. Prosperity, definitely. I think, you know, prosperity, a broader definition perhaps of prosperity, the kind with some longevity. So, although I've done some fast cash stuff in my day, definitely. But, you know, I feel like there are certain kinds of spells that it's like, you know, you really have to make a decision on if it's something that you're really going to put that much of your energy into. And I've tried to educate people over the years, especially when it comes to relationships, that the way you do the spells, it's not to control the other person. It's more about working on yourself, working maybe on the connection, but not necessarily anything that's going to be, you know, trying to manipulate another person. It's not good. You know, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying, why do you want to spend that much energy? Why do you want to be in a relationship where you have to, like, you know, abracadabra someone into loving you? I mean, it's just that that doesn't compute for me. You know what I mean? It's like, I think you got to think that one through, because the amount of effort it's going to take to sustain that kind of magical input, you can't hold out for, you know, you just can't hold that up forever. Like, you could maybe light a spark and say, like, put me in the same place in the same time as this person, and let's see what happens. Let's see if it takes off. You know, you can kind of do that. But I feel like trying to do something, which we do get a lot of questions from people. We do get a lot of people requesting love spells, of course. I just feel like, you know, trying to like force it is not a good idea. Not when it comes to that stuff.
I understand. It's unethical. You are not saying that you can do it, but you should do it, because maybe you have a person just there under a spell. Probably you are losing the opportunity to meet someone else that is there for you, that is more adequate for you.
Exactly. I mean, when you find that person that's going to fall in love with you for you, you don't
Exactly.
need to expend any effort to get them to love you. They're going to love you all on their own. You know, they're not going to need you to force it. It's just going to happen. And so that is the preferable thing, because then you can work the magic to do the other things in life that you want to do, you know, because you don't have to spend the energy doing that, because that partnership is there, and that partner is there to support you in all of your other goals that you have, and goals that you have together as a unit, you know. So that is the better deal. Get the person that's already in love with you and decide what you're going to accomplish as a team, and go accomplish it together, and work the magic for those things.
Got it. Sandra, I have two more questions for you. One is, did you remember your first book on witchcraft or magic, the first book that you had?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm trying to think back. I don't really know what the first one was. It might have been, I always recommend, this is one of the first ones. This is one of the first ones. I can't tell if it's the first one, but Natural Magick by Doreen Valiente. That was definitely one of the first ones, but I'm not sure if it's the first one. It's one of them, though. That was an early one. Natural Magick by Doreen Valiente.
Wow. That is one of the classics.
It is, yeah. I don't know that it was, I don't know if it was my actual first one, but it's definitely one of them.
Okay.
Yep.
Another question. If you have the opportunity to give an advice to yourself 10 years ago, which advice this could be?
How many years ago?
10 years ago.
10 years ago. Okay. You know, it's so tough. It's like you want to say, there's so many things that I don't think I would want to change, because I can't guarantee that all of the things that have transpired since then would actually happen. I mean, obviously, well, so Kevin and I were already together 10 years ago. So backing it up 10 years doesn't make me meet him sooner. We've often said, I wish we met sooner, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, but we met we met at the right time. We met at a time that we could really, really appreciate each other. So we were already married by that point. So there's no reason to go back and advise to do that any sooner. I would say start writing sooner, but at the same time, I feel like that kind of happened at the right time too, so it's like, as much as I'd like to say, get a jump on the writing, but I don't know, that kind of happened at the right time too. So I don't know. I guess I would just say like, I think I would get out and do more with my mother. That is what I would do. If I could go back 10 years, that is the one thing that I can say unequivocally that I would change. I would get out and take my mom out and do more things with her, because we can't do that anymore. So I would absolutely get out with her more, because right now her world is pretty small. So I would have liked to have gotten out and maybe shown her more things, get out and travel more with her and get out and do more with her. So that's something I can say that I would go back and change.
And it's a beautiful answer. I mean, it don't exist an incorrect answer, but yours is beautiful. Thank you for sharing, because it's also very personal. Sandra, something else that you want to share?
Gosh, well, I will say, like, if there's somebody out there that's like putting something on the back burner because you're too busy, you've got so many things that require your time and attention, find a way to carve out at least a little bit of time. Don't even try to commit to it daily, because if you try to shoehorn it in daily, it's not going to work. But weekly, take a look at each week and try to break it down that way, and try to find a pocket of time, and find a pocket of time each week to connect with your besties, whether it's go to brunch or just get on Zoom or whatever it can be. Go for a walk somewhere together. Connect with your besties, connect with your friends, connect with, the people that really truly matter. Even though your lives are crazy and they're going in a million directions, make sure you come back and connect, because the time is flying. So you don't want too much time to go by from the things you love to do and the people that you love to see. And if you can combine those two things together, so much the better.
Perfect. Thank you, Sandra, for your time. I know that this month is super easy for you, super hard for you.
It's
You are doing
crazy.
a lot of stuff, and you just launched this new book like 1 month ago. So you are doing a lot.
Yep.
You are also preparing for the next events and the stuff. You are overwhelming worker, but that's super nice.
I have like 6 planets in the house of work. It's in my chart.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's very nice. It's very nice. You are leading with example, and we love that. Thank you, Sandra, for your time. You are a beautiful person and an amazing witch, a really wonderful author, and we really appreciate your time a lot.
Thank you. I feel the same way about you. I really thank you so much for having me on the show. I really love it. So
thank you, everyone. Remember that all the links to contact Sandra are below the video in the description. Her books, Instagram, look for her show, Facebook, stalk her because she's wonderful. All the links are there. Have a good night, everyone.
Everybody. Blessings from Salem.